Hey, welcome back. It's Jason Walter here. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing what will be the next stimulus package that's going to be passed. And also, will we see another round of stimulus checks? There are a lot of proposals out there. It's really hard to keep track of which ones are gaining traction and which ones have no merit at all. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing the proposals that are getting the most traction, the cost of each of those, and then at the end, I'll be sharing my opinion of what I feel will ultimately get passed. If you recall, the stimulus checks that people are receiving right now is part of the CARES Act that was passed about a month ago. And this is for a one-time up to $1,200 stimulus check plus an additional $500 per qualifying child. Obviously, there's income limitations, and you also must have a social security number in order to receive funds. So let's compare that package to the current stimulus package proposals. One proposal is to cancel all rent and mortgage payments for the remainder of the emergency declaration. And this is called the Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act of 2020. Shocker. Despite the endorsements for this bill, this one seems so far-fetched to me and very difficult to administer. Therefore, it makes more sense to me to place funds directly in the hands of the American people rather than giving them a housing concession. That's just my opinion. Therefore, I'm not going into detail about this proposed bill, but if you're interested in learning more about it, I'll leave a link in the description below. Another proposal is the Automatic Boost to Communities Act, or the ABC Act. And this act would provide a U.S. debit card preloaded with $2,000 to every person in America. And each card would be recharged with $1,000 monthly until 1 year after the end of the coronavirus crisis. Unlike the $1,200 stimulus checks that was passed as part of the CARES Act, this ABC Act, which again is a proposal, has no income limitations. Also, you do not need to have a social security number. In addition, dependents get the full amount of money as well. In other words, everyone gets the money. Therefore, there's a much larger pool of people who would qualify for this program, and that is a very big problem because of the massive costs associated with that, and I'll go over that here in just a little bit. Another issue with this proposed bill is the risk of mail theft. I mean, there'd be millions of Americans who'd be receiving debit cards in the mail that are already preloaded with $2,000. I mean, this is a dream world for all the porch pirates out there. The other main stimulus package proposal is called the Emergency Money for the People Act. And this would provide Americans over the age of 16 with $2,000 per month for 6 to 12 months, rather than a one-time $1,200 stimulus check. Individuals aged 16 and older who earn less than $130,000 per year would be eligible for this program and be eligible for $2,000 per month. Married couples earning less than $260,000 would be eligible for $4,000 per month. This proposal would also cover those who are claimed as a dependent by someone else, and that was not the case under the CARES Act. Also, qualifying taxpayers would also receive an additional $500 per child for up to 3 children. It also offers more payment options. So in addition to direct deposit and a physical check, you also could receive the funds via Zelle, PayPal, or Venmo. Again, these are just proposals and they have not been voted into law. So I do not want to give your hopes up. These are just proposals. It's possible that none of them will pass. It's also possible that one of these will pass with some modifications here, and I'll discuss that here in just a little bit. By the way, if you're getting value out of this video so far, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button and also subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll keep you updated with future developments. I also make videos about how this pandemic is affecting our real estate market, so if that's something you're interested in, please subscribe, and I greatly appreciate your support. Okay, let's talk about the costs associated with each of these proposals, and then I'll give you my opinion what I feel will ultimately will pass. The estimated cost to send those $1,200 stimulus checks that was part of the CARES Act that was passed a month ago, the estimated cost of that is $300 billion. The cost to send another round of those same checks to that same group of people would be another $300 billion. The cost to send one $2,000 check to every single person in America, again, that's through the ABC Act, that's a large number. So I did my own math on this. Approximately right now, there's about 330 million people who live in the United States. Multiply that by $2,000 per person. That one-time cost is $660 billion. But remember, this proposal calls for an additional $1,000 per month for every single person in America for 1 year after the crisis is over. So 1 month of $1,000 payments to everyone in America. That is $330 billion per month times 12 months, and that is $3.96 trillion. To give you some perspective, our current national debt is approximately $23 trillion. So this one bill would increase our national debt by approximately 17%. So what are the possibilities that this bill would get approved? It's unlikely, but I'll discuss that here in just a little bit. Okay, so what is the cost of the Emergency Money for the People Act? Again, this is that program that has $2,000 a month for 6 to 12 months. It also includes a larger pool of people than what the CARES Act provided because of the higher income limitations. Again, that's $130,000 compared to $75,000. Also, it includes individuals who are being claimed as a dependent, which is the CARES Act didn't provide that either. The total estimated cost for this proposed bill is in the range of $500 billion to $750 billion. However, that is only for 1 month. And this calls for additional payments of up to 6 to 12 months. So let's just say it's for 6 months at $750 billion per month. 6 months times $750 billion is $4.5 trillion. If it's going to be for 12 months, you have to double that number. So instead of 4.5, it'd be $9 trillion. To put that into perspective, the entire stimulus package that was passed about a month ago that included hundreds of billions of dollars for our small business owners was a total of $2.2 trillion. Also last week, the government passed a stimulus package for our small business owners that was $484 billion. In my opinion, the cost of these proposals is far too great. However, I believe that some form of a stimulus package or a stimulus check will need to be passed because just last week, they announced that 3.8 million people filed for unemployment benefit claims just last week. And so now we have a total of about 30 million Americans who are out of work. Plus, most non-essential businesses in the United States are still closed. And also, states have been very slow at issuing unemployment benefit claims to those who are unemployed. And some people haven't received their $1,200 stimulus checks yet, so it's just crazy. On top of that, the Federal Reserve met just yesterday, and they also expressed some concerns about our economic outlook. They decided also to keep the federal funds rate at or near 0%. They issued a statement just yesterday stating that the ongoing public health crisis will weigh heavily on economic activity, employment, and inflation in the near term, and poses considerable risks to the economic outlook over the medium term. So what is the solution? And that's a very difficult question to answer because at one end, the US does not have an unlimited amount of money to defeat this crisis and help the economy. This will affect our future generations if the US continues to get in more and more debt. However, the American people, small businesses, local and state governments, and our hospitals need money right now. And this is a huge, huge problem. Okay, so let me share my opinion, what I feel will happen. So in my opinion, I do not believe that any of these proposals will be passed as they currently are written. I don't believe that Congress will go and say that we'll pay 6 to 12 months for these stimulus checks. However, I believe it makes more sense to do another round of a one-time stimulus check and then reassess after that point of time. But I really don't see them approving a multi-month process of sending out stimulus checks. Possibly 1 to 3 months, maybe 1 to 2 months, but really 6 to 12 months. I really do not see that happening. I really see they're going to be making one check payment and then reassessing after that. Here's why I believe that another one-time stimulus check will be coming and not a multi-month stimulus check package. Number one is that the government already has a blueprint in place in order to send out stimulus checks. Yes, there have been a ton of issues with getting the checks out. A lot of people have not even received their stimulus checks yet, but they do have a blueprint in place and they can make some adjustments to make the process more smoother and also to get the checks out faster if they were to do another round of stimulus checks. Reason number 2, and that is that there's 30 million Americans who are currently unemployed, and that is just within the last 6 weeks. So we're approaching Great Depression levels. Plus, before this pandemic occurred, about half of Americans were living paycheck for paycheck. And a lot of those Americans right now do not currently have a paycheck. Reason number 3 would be the unemployment lags. So a lot of states haven't even implemented the $600 per week in that federal boost as part of the CARES Act. In addition, a lot of people, especially people in Florida, unfortunately, haven't even received any unemployment benefits yet. Reason number 4, the last 2 stimulus packages totaled about $2.7 trillion. That's the $2.2 trillion from a month ago and the $484 billion that was passed just last week. But the stimulus check portion was only $300 billion. That's a relatively small portion of the $2.7 trillion total, or about 11% to be exact. My reason number 5 for why I believe there will be another round of a stimulus check is that the $1,200 stimulus checks is only going to help Americans for a short period of time, especially for those who live in more expensive areas like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, and San Francisco. That money is going to be dried up very quickly. The key, of course, is to come up with a bipartisan agreement on how to best support our people. I'd love you to know your thoughts about this. Do you think another round of stimulus checks is going to be coming? Leave me a comment below. Please subscribe for new developments and also hit the like button to help support this channel. I greatly appreciate that. Also, I post videos about how this pandemic's affecting our real estate market, so that's something you're interested in. I invite you to subscribe. You also can follow me on Instagram. I'm Sacramento Realtor. I hope you have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.